After school here, I thought I'd offer my thoughts on the state of Path of Exile 1, 2, and Phrecia 2. All of this is, of course, just my opinion. If you feel differently, then that's totally fine by me. We all enjoy things in different ways. You can see my hours here in each of the games and the event, and I'll give you kind of a rough idea about how I feel about each of these. So first for Path of Exile 1, I noticed a few leagues back, people were saying, the game is in a good place, and that's something that I really agree with. A lot of the rough edges and little issues that were pretty annoying in the game had been relatively well worked out, kind of in a stable place where people knew what to expect and how it was going to go, and updates made the game fresh, and so it's been good. There's a really long gap between a couple of the updates though, and this last league's been a little bit underwhelming for some people. But in my span of time playing the game, I see this as kind of part of the normal ups and downs of the game, and I feel fine with where it is. And at least now we finally have instant trade. That was a controversial change to the game. GGG was resistant to do it, but in my opinion, it's really been a great addition to Trade League, and I really wouldn't want to not have it. So glad they finally did that. I think it really does help. So on the S tier in Path of Exile 1, I think the skills in Path of Exile 1 are fantastic. They look great, they sound good, they're fun to use, they're interesting. It's all good. I really enjoy them a great deal. Items, trees, mechanics, interaction, build possibilities. This is really what the game is all about for me. It's kind of like a video game Lego set. You can build what you want, modify it, change it, take someone else's design, make it your own. It's really what it's all about for me. So this is why I've been playing the game for 10 years. Endgame agency, I think, is really an A tier level. It's really excellent. The Atlas tree is great. Combine that with scarabs, you can really do a lot with controlling kind of how your endgame plays. It really feels good to me. Being able to change your Atlas tree so easily, it's really nice. So I like it a great deal. I think it's really in a good place. Balance and build diversity, so I think balance is never going to be really good, really ironed out. Not skills, all the skills are never going to be even in a game like this. There's just too many interactions and mechanics and clever ways of doing things. There's always going to be meta builds, and I think it's totally fine where it's at right now. There's a pretty good build diversity. You can build plenty of off meta that works well enough. May not be able to complete every bit of content with those funky builds, but you can get pretty far, and that's part of the challenge of playing an off meta build. So I think it's really in a good place. I think defenses in that game probably deserve a better grade, to be honest, but I gave them a B because I think it's been a little bit stale. Building defenses extremely important in the game. You have to invest a lot in them to have a good character, basically. But maybe it's a little bit stale. Maybe that could use a little bit of a refresh or some new possibilities. But overall, it's pretty solid. Campaign, and this is probably controversial, but I'm going to give it a B. I still enjoy the campaign. If you know it well, and then your second and after that character, you've got some twink items, you can get through the campaign pretty quickly. You get past the skill points really quickly, so you see your character develop, adding in gems and links, and just seeing it all come together. I find it to be fairly enjoyable. I can see why other people don't like it, are bored of it at this point, but it's something that I do enjoy. Availability of game info, to me this is really not in a good place and never has been. Needing to use external websites to really even understand basic concepts of the game, of having a library of information. The discoverability in the game is not very good, and maybe realistically it's just not possible with a game that's this complex. But I always thought, especially with new league mechanics and things, there would be better in-game guidance on getting started with them. It's usually pretty limited. I guess it leaves you to discover them and explore them, but I really do think they could do better. This last league, ground loot is just really bad. I think it's very disappointing for a lot of people, and I feel that way too. Like an elk and go map strategy is just not very good anymore. Just doesn't measure up to everything else you can do, and just on its own, even non-competitively, it's just not very satisfying. I think that's a real mistake, and I really hope that GGG can do something to address that. So that's Path of Exile overall, Path of Exile 1 for me overall. Phrecia. So again, I put about 2.5 weeks into this before I lost my will to go on. I did enjoy it, but I had enough, so I need to take a little break before the next league. Challenging campaign with the added difficulty, especially before they made adjustments to it. I thought it was pretty fun. It's something new, something different. It's challenging. It's surprising. It's chaotic. So that change alone just made it feel kind of fresh and fun for me. But I could see why not everyone would want that. And I think what's made it worse was that it really cut down on people just experimenting with weird or experimental off-meta builds, which to me is kind of the whole point of a league like Phrecia. You get these alternate ascendancies, you get to try something new. People don't necessarily know it as well as the main ascendancies. So isn't the kind of the point of having an experimental character building league? But then they add in this extremely punishing campaign, extremely punishing modifiers, and then suddenly making a character that's not so good is really not enjoyable. So I feel like it's a weird design decision to make it so difficult. But anyway, we got what we got, and I think it worked out actually pretty okay. It wasn't everything it could be for every person, though. And idols, I really dislike idols a lot. As I mentioned before, I really like to be able to change my atlas and atlas strategy whenever I want to. And when you've invested a bunch into building a strategy with idols, I really feel locked in. Like to reset that, to start over, I don't know, doesn't feel good to me. So I think it really took away player agency. And I don't know, for the people who really put in a lot of time to it, it's very, very powerful, so I could see why they would like it. But I think for the average player, I'm not so sure it's really a good match for us. Alright, so Path of Exile 2. Every time I play Path of Exile 2, I come away from it feeling like it's just a really beautiful game. Really like the engine. I just feel there's a great potential for it. And I think the dev team is great as well. They're definitely capable of producing a great game. But there's just so many issues going on with it right now that make it not that enjoyable for me. So profoundly unbalanced, and by this I don't just mean power levels between skills or ascendancies or something like that. I just mean like when I saw the original dev videos of them playing with crossbow, and grenades and demonstrating combinations, it looked pretty good. And I was really intrigued to try it out. And in game, it's it's pretty great. It feels a really good, well-developed gameplay. There's not too many options that really feel all that different, but there's a few, and so it's okay. Um, it it's really well done. Versus something like Minions, which I really enjoy playing Minions. Minions feel, in my opinion, just completely awful and are not interesting, not engaging. The gameplay of it is just, I don't know, it just doesn't work. And why is that exactly? Why is it so different than how it feels to me in Path of Exile 1? I really have a hard time saying. Certainly, early on in the league with Minions, is so gear dependent, or it felt that way to me, that they just felt you're constantly kiting even white mobs in a map. Okay, you get stronger, then you're steamrolling them. Okay, kind of either way. Is it fun gameplay though? And why is it so different than in Path of Exile? I'm not exactly sure. We got our combination with minions, like the skeletons with their gas grenades. It's strong, but is it feel good? Is it exciting? Is it fun? I don't know. It doesn't feel that way to me. It feels very dull. So there you have this like dramatic difference in the quality of the gameplay between these two different game modes, essentially. The power levels just feel really unbalanced. It's either like you're so weak, you're kiting everything, or you're just completely steamrolling and it's just meaningless. That either way doesn't feel that great. You want to have some kind of challenge in there, but not every white mob is a life and death battle. I don't know. It just feels exhausting when you're weak in the game, and you feel weak a lot. It seems to me. Okay, impactful, cool combinations. There's definitely some of it, but I just feel there needs to be so much more development for this game to be really fleshed out and have a lot of them for a lot of skills, for a lot of ascendancies. It just doesn't feel like it's there yet at all. It has some of it, but it just doesn't have enough yet. Lack of clarity is somehow worse than Path of Exile 1, and sometimes much worse. I played crossbow grenades with whatever the explode grenade, I forget what it's called. And it got to with the mortar cannon, highly, highly effective, but like you didn't see anything on the screen anymore. It goes from being this beautiful game to just being a mess of effects. That's not really a well-balanced game to me, in my opinion. It doesn't make any sense. As I mentioned, relative power levels between skills, between ascendancies, things like that, just feels all over the map. Needs a lot of refinement, and these games will never be balanced, but they kind of have to be in the ballpark of one another, and I didn't feel that way to me, at least when I was playing this. And then Path of Exile 2, power of items seems unbalanced to me. Like, it's so powerful compared to, well, I mean, the tree, basically. What else do we have here? The ascendancies, I suppose. Like, the ascendancies in the tree didn't feel like much was happening there compared to just getting a better item. The game's supposed to be about items, I guess, but I don't know. It doesn't feel, again, balanced to me. It's not a bad idea, but is it a well-developed idea? I'm not so sure. Endgame, again, it's underdeveloped. People say there isn't much to do. I barely experienced it, so maybe I shouldn't even talk about it, but to me it just felt like I don't even know why I'm doing this. It's understandable that it's undeveloped, it's a new game, but really it needs to get a long way because there's no way not to compare it to Path of Exile 1. Path of Exile 1 has, a decade more of development time behind it, so it makes sense that it's more developed, but still, if I'm going to choose what I'm going to play, and one game feels great to me and the other one feels boring, well, I mean, that's just what it is. It's like going back to items there. The items to me in Path of Exile 2 just don't seem interesting. I'm not exactly sure why that is. The accessibility of crafting feels good, but yet the items themselves, I don't know. I've never felt any kind of a connection to any of the items that I had crafted or found bought through trade in Path of Exile 2. Not anywhere close to how I feel about the items in Path of Exile 1. And I wonder if it's just my personal familiarity with Path of Exile 1. I know why this rare item with these affixes is so good, so powerful, build enabling, or what have you. Path of Exile 2, it just didn't feel like, okay, it's plus 2 minion thing, now it's plus 3 minion thing. Okay, I don't know. Maybe it's just the characters that I was playing, but they did not feel good to me. And then replayability. The campaign feels really long. Maybe it's just the length of each of the zones in the campaign that makes it feel that way, because it's not really that much longer. Definitely longer, but feels longer than it even is. So if I roll a new character or it's a new league, I'm playing through the campaign and I'm just feeling like, what exactly am I doing this for? What am I looking forward to? I already know what's here, so somehow it's just not feeling as compelling as Path of Exile 1 and even Path of Exile 1 campaign, which I've played, so many times. So I'm very concerned about the replayability in Path of Exile 2. And am I looking forward to this next update, 0.5? To be honest, I'm really not. I'm looking forward to some future point in Path of Exile 2, but I don't know how long it's going to take it to get there. Unless they do something that's really unexpected, I just don't know that I'm going to log in for 0.5 at all. So those are my basic feelings about Path of Exile 1, 2, and Phrecia 2. Path of Exile 1, for me, this is basically the greatest game that's ever been created, and that's for someone who's been playing video games for decades. What you can do within the build creation process is just unparalleled and really exciting for me. Every league, every character, every possibility just feels fascinating. I know it's true for a lot of people before a league starts, right? You're thinking a lot about what character you're going to start with. And then you might change your mind 2-3 times along the way because you're like, no, wait, no, that seems cool. What about this? No, that seems cool. That's a great game. I mean, unquestionably, in my mind. If you feel that way about it, that's a great game. Phrecia 2 was pretty interesting. I think the design of it was just kind of weird. The difficulty and then the idle system, I think it really limited what people were able to do with it, and for me too, which was a little disappointing, but still, it was fun. It was something different. And then Path of Exile 2, I just think it's got such great potential, beautiful looking game. It's got a lot going for it, but just feels like it needs so much work, so much refinement. And refinement's something that's always concerned me about GGG. It took them a long time to get Path of Exile to the place where people were saying, yeah, the game's in a good place. League comes out, it's got some new mechanics that almost always have some kind of a problem. And sometimes they fix that in a timely manner, and other times they don't. But I almost never feel like they really get it all the way to where it could be. And then maybe, the mechanic comes back into the game, the core game, a couple of leagues later, and they've adjusted it or tuned it or something like that. But it doesn't always get to that refined stage of really being a great mechanic on its own. And I always think about that example of Synthesis League, if you played way back then. A lot of people really complained about Synthesis, but I thought it was such a great idea. Really was looking forward to it, and just some of the issues with it were not refined as much as they could be. If they would have spent more time refining that idea, I think it really could have been a great new addition to the game. But instead, they just moved on. And that's just kind of the way it goes with Path of Exile and development team, and I can't fault them for making what I consider to be the greatest game ever, but sometimes that refinement is just a little bit lacking. And for Path of Exile 2, I really have concerns about how long it's going to take them to refine these systems and get combinations in a good place, which was really supposed to be kind of one of the core features of the game. To me, doesn't feel like it's in a good place. Again, if you feel differently, that's totally fine. Up to you to have your own opinion about these things. I just thought I would share mine.